Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Leslie, and I'm here to share with you 5 random tips for background paintings. To start off with, backgrounds are a terrifying thought to many artists. I was in that group myself, still kind of am sometimes. I had the hardest time getting into painting backgrounds and scenery. It just seemed really daunting and too big of a challenge to take on. I'll admit at times it can be frustrating still, what with all the perspective and shading, but as with all art, the best thing to do is practice and keep your mind sharp. I'm hoping some of these details will help you stop being so hesitant with backgrounds, and you won't take as long as I did to get into the wonderful world of painting scenery. I'm afraid the majority of the information in this video will be used for painterly styled pieces primarily, but I do have one tip for lined pieces, and I think the rest of these tips can be tweaked to suit whatever style you need them for. Just do what works best for you. For tip number 1, we will get the first and only lined piece tip out there. You'll want to keep a close eye on the depth and how the lines read. If the character or the main focus is lined in 5 pixel weight, you should not do the background with the same brush size. Use smaller lines with less details to create an illusion of depth. If things are the same size, it will look like a hot fucking mess. Chances are the eyes will get confused by all this stuff seemingly on the same plane of dimension, and then they'll want to look away because it's hard to register. It's too much detail tends to be sensory overload. And on the note of sensory overload and balancing details, the second tip is all the detail should be on the character or the place you want the focus to stay. Most artists render the eyes to stand out the most, and that's a good idea because most humans, that's where they look first when they look at someone's face, whether it be an animal or whatever. The character needs to have all the detail on them, so the background must sacrifice its tedious lines and sharp brushstrokes so our eyes will easily focus on the character where they should. And tip number 3. The background colors should be muted compared to the main focus. The richer the saturation of the background, the more easily the eye's attention will be pulled to and fro, resulting in the urge to want to look away because that shit hurts. Too many bright colors is just very, very fucking painful. We want our art to keep the attention of our viewers, not chase them away with confusing details and eye-fuckingly bright colors. Keep in mind, you can use bright colors, just use them sparingly. Tip number 4 follows in the trail of number 3, of course, but as far as subject-wise, the further things get away from the viewer, the hazier and less detailed they get. Like, if you're on top of a hill and you look out over a valley, you'll notice it doesn't get darker, but it gets lighter. It fades into grayness. Try laying a slight gray cast over the farthest objects of your painting, or perhaps if it's a sunset, a dull yellow, or if it's nighttime, maybe try a dull blue-gray. Play around, have fun with this step. I mean, there's really no wrong way to go as long as it fades into lightness, if it's during the day. This is also a great excuse to use spooky fog for those trees way in the back. And of course, it is pretty much the opposite with nighttime. You will be fading into darkness, but of course the lack of detail will still be a factor. You just make everything darker. Tip 4.5. Yes, 4.5. It's fun to darken the edges of the canvas a bit, like over here on this painting that I am working on screen. I darkened the edges on the bottom to kind of lift the eyes to focus on the orc in the center, and I also did it on the top. It makes it look more dramatic if that's what you're going for, and There's really no wrong way to do it. Just play around until it feels right because, light does weird ass shit. It makes it look more dramatic if that's what you're going for, and there's really no wrong way to do it. Just play around until it feels right because, light does weird ass shit. Tip number 5. I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but oops. When sketching your scene, don't just draw the figure or the character, color it, finish it, and then add the background afterwards. That makes it look forced and absolutely fucking terrible. Draw both of the character and the background at the same time so they feel cohesive. One doesn't... It's like, if you draw the character and then slap them on a background, they will look like they've been slapped onto the background, and it just... I'll be honest, it looks like fucking shit. The character is always affected by their surroundings, whether it be light or movement or whatever. To kind of make this happen is to occasionally color pick or color sample from the background and use it as shading or highlights on the character. This helps tie the two together, further cementing in the viewer's mind that this piece is a scene. The character is a visitor on any background they are in front of. The scenery always affects the character. And that's pretty much it. I know that some of these seem like super strict rules, but in all reality, they're just tips. Like I said in my last... Hold on. Which video was it? I don't remember. It's a pirate code. They're just guidelines, not rules. I know it'd be difficult with all these tips and stuff, but loosen up, have fun, create beautiful pieces, and remember the background is just what its name says. The background is not the entire story of the piece, only a part of